Chapter 51. Things are getting more interesting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Now, maybe we can only wait. Luo Chuan whispered. What are you waiting for? Luo Yong frowned, his face still full of anger. Silently waiting for the opportunity. Waiting for the next time Black Wind Village takes action. After Luo Yong took a deep breath, he asked the nephew next to him, are you just waiting? If we just wait, wouldn't our Luo family be quite passive? Luo Chuan, this is the only way we can do it when the enemy is in the dark and we are clear. In the room, the conversation between Luo Yong, Luo Ping, and Luo Chuan finally ended. Although Luo Yong was a little unhappy, he was in such a passive situation against the Black Wind Village. However, what the little guy Luo Chuan said was indeed correct, in a situation where the enemy is in darkness and we are in the clear. Even though the comprehensive strength of the Luo family in Qingshi town is several times higher than that of Heifeng village, after all, these advantages over strength cannot be used. The conversation ended, and Luo Yong left the room after a while, and as Luo Yong left, his figure gradually disappeared from the sight of Luo Chuan and Luo Ping. At this time, in this room, only Luo Ping and Luo Chuan and his son were left. Father, I plan to go to Patriarch Changfeng's courtyard and talk to Patriarch Changfeng about this matter. Do you want to go with me? After the two were silent for a moment, Luo Chuan, the son, suddenly broke the silence in the room and whispered to his father, Luo Ping. Luo Ping coughed twice, and then said, as you know, the Zhao family in Qingshi town fell, and our Luo family first took charge of this town. There are many things that still need me to deal with, so. Hearing this, Luo Chuan nodded silently. He understood what his father meant. Father, if that's the case, then I'll leave first. After saying that, Luo Chuan turned around and left the room silently. Qingshi town, the land of the Luo family, the courtyard where Luo Changfeng, the ancestor of the Luo family, still looks so quaint. It exudes an ancient atmosphere and looks so simple. Ancestor Changfeng. As Luo Chuan walked into the courtyard, he soon saw the man standing silently. His body was vaguely exuding bursts of terrifying energy and blood aura. Ancestor Luo Changfeng clenched his fists and placed his hands in a strange posture. This is the most precious skill in the Zhao family, bombing fist. Seeing the movements of Patriarch Changfeng, Luo Chuan couldn't help but narrowed his eyes slightly. Boom fist, although it is only an ordinary first-level skill, it belongs to the same level as the most precious Li Hu Jin in their Luo family. But judging from Luo Chuan's knowledge, even the most common ordinary and top-level skills are not worth mentioning. It will take at least 3 to 5 months to practice it to a basic level. This is still under the condition that the cultivation talent is relatively good. If some people are less talented, they may not be able to reach the threshold of entry after practicing for 1 or 2 years. I really didn't expect that Patriarch Changfeng would practice the bang fist to an entry level or even higher level in just a few days. It's really perverted. Luo Chuan looked at the scene in front of him and couldn't help thinking silently in his heart, bang fist, the best in the world. What is important is to pour most of the energy and blood in the body into one arm. Then, in a strange posture, all the power exploded in an instant. Its destructive power is naturally extremely terrifying. However, this punch also has some side effects. That is, after using it once, it cannot be used a second time in a short period of time. If a large amount of qi and blood are poured into the arm, it may even cause you to be unable to use your arm for a short period of time. This move can indeed be used as a trump card. After punching, Luo Changfeng slowly retracted his right arm. He took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Then he walked under the stone pavilion and sat quietly on a stone bench, looking at the little guy Luo Chuan beside him with a calm expression. He asked in a low voice, "You came to my place suddenly, but you have something to tell me." Luo Chuan whispered, "Ancestor Changfeng, something happened to the bluestone veins outside Qingshi town." Something happened to the bluestone vein? Yes, the Black Wind Village, which is a unified bandit force outside Qingshi town, took action on part of the bluestone mines in the hands of our Luo family last night. There were many professionals who collected bluestone veins, and they all died on the spot. After last night's massacre at Heifeng village, only 1/3 of the bluestone veins that can still operate are left. While Luo Changfeng listened silently, he picked up a pot of tea on the stone table and poured himself a cup. "Put it to your mouth and take a sip." Then, he raised his head and looked at the little guy Luochuan, who still looked a little immature in front of him, and whispered, So, I plan to listen to Patriarch Changfeng's opinion. Want to hear the opinion of an old man like me? Luo Changfeng drank the tea in his hand and gently placed the teacup on the stone table. Then, he couldn't help but narrowed his eyes slightly and whispered, Don't you already have a solution in your heart? Why are you still asking me? In this regard, Luochuan couldn't help but become a little silent. Not confident? Luo Changfeng asked. Yes, Luochuan responded with his head slightly lowered. Why don't you be confident and just go for it? It's just a Black Wind village. Even if it really gets to the worst point, what can you do? I, Luo Changfeng, am not dead yet. The conversation between Luo Changfeng and Luochuan did not last long. A moment later, Luochuan walked out of his ancestor's courtyard. Ancestor Changfeng is indeed right, it's just a mere Black Wind village, even if it really comes to the worst, so what? Behind him, there is also an ancestor who has the realm of Zhang refining as his backer. The Luo family of Qingshi town will never reach the point of being destroyed. Besides, does Luochuan really have nothing to do against the Black Wind village? This is not necessarily true. Before, Luochuan felt a little unsure, therefore, he does not dare to make subsequent decisions for the family easily, but now, things are different from before. Black Wind Village, black-haired tigers. And the forces standing behind Black Wind Village. Luochuan murmured in a low voice, and a bright smile appeared on his face involuntarily. Things seemed to be getting more and more interesting. In the courtyard, as Luochuan gradually left, he even completely disappeared from Luo Changfeng's sight. At this time, Luo Changfeng was still sitting silently on a stone bench under the stone pavilion. In front of his eyes, there was a translucent golden hand panel suspended in mid-air. In his eyes, there were bursts of light flickering from time to time. Chapter 52 Introduction to Alchemy, Secondhand Furnace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Name, Luo Changfeng. Xuanhuan, 20 years plus. Cultivation, early stage of internal organs refining plus, 300/1000. Qi and blood, 1650, -0, PS, safe and usable Qi and blood is 165 points. Kung Fu, the best in the world, fierce tiger strength, comprehension, 100% plus, the best in the world, wind shadow step, comprehension, 20% plus, incomplete, the best in the world, bang fist, comprehension, 10% plus. Occupation, alchemy, comprehension, 0.1% plus. The attributes in front of him are the result of his continuous improvement in the past few days. The experience value in the early stage of Zhang refining has already reached 300, there are still 700 experience points left before the next small realm. In terms of Qi and blood, it seems to be due to the increase in strength of the clan members and the birth of 2 more newborns. This resulted in a slight increase in the family's total energy and blood value. As for the improvement of Feng Yingbu's understanding, Luo Changfeng spent a certain amount of energy and blood to directly spend money on this. Cultivation and strength are all important, but movement speed is also very important. Moreover, this incomplete version of Feng Yingbu can reach the first level of the mortal world. Luo Changfeng was a little curious. If he increased the comprehension of Feng Ying's step to 100%, what would happen next? In addition, there are 2 other points that need to be mentioned. Luo Changfeng pointed out the plus sign behind Liehu Jin, the best mundane martial art. A while ago, Goldfinger reminded him that if he wanted to develop the fierce tiger power to a level above the ordinary top level, he would need to spend a full 5,000 Qi and blood points. Seeing the amount of Qi and blood that needed to be consumed, Luo Changfeng gave up the idea of upgrading fiery tiger strength. Also, after these 20 days of continuous learning, he finally touched the threshold of alchemy. He could finally add points to upgrade his alchemy profession. How much energy and blood does it cost to increase the proficiency of alchemy to 1%? Luo Changfeng asked in a low voice in his mind. 50 points of blood. Huh? Only 50? It's quite cheap. Without much hesitation, Luo Changfeng directly spent 50 points of energy and blood to first increase his understanding of the alchemy technique to 1%. 50 points of vitality and blood are being deducted. comprehension is improving. As the cold voice gradually sounded in Luo Changfeng's mind, the next moment, his brain felt like he had been hit hard. Suddenly, there was an extremely huge torrent of memories, which was directly stuffed into his head by Golden Finger, Qingsha Town. In a quaint courtyard, under the stone pavilion, it took Luo Changfeng a long time to gradually digest the huge memory. It's just a 1% increase in understanding. For Luo Changfeng, it was as if he had personally experienced the life of an ordinary alchemist. Is this the so-called alchemy technique? No wonder the price of elixirs on this continent always remains high. It turns out that I want to become a qualified alchemist. The difficulty is so high. Under the stone pavilion, Luo Changfeng took a deep breath, and then slowly exhaled. At this time, it seemed that his face was slightly pale due to the massive amounts of memories that were being stored in his mind. Continue to improve your understanding of alchemy by 1%. Luo Changfeng silently gave the order in his heart. 100 blood points are being deducted. Comprehension is improving. The cold voice sounded in his mind again. An extremely huge torrent of memories was once again forced into Luo Changfeng's mind by Golden Finger. It hurts, it really hurts. His head felt swollen and painful. Luo Changfeng even suspected that if it weren't for his cultivation, he would have reached the early stage of Zong refining. If you do this to him directly, he will most likely have some problems. It took Luo Changfeng about half an hour to digest the 1% understanding. This time it took him a full 2 hours. Only then did he digest all the memories that did not belong to him in his mind. He took a deep breath, exhaled slowly, and couldn't help but sigh in a low voice. This alchemy method is really broad and profound. In addition, there is another point that Luo Changfeng is a little worried about. I don't know that the improvement of this alchemy technique only increases the blood value by 50 points each time, or does it mean that the blood value that needs to be consumed is directly doubled each time? With just 50 points of blood, he could raise his understanding of the art of alchemy to a very high level in a very short period of time, but if you increase your understanding by 1% each time, you will need to consume twice as much energy and blood. Then he wanted to improve his understanding of alchemy to a certain level. The time required is somewhat immeasurable. If I want to continue to improve my alchemy understanding by 1%, how much energy and blood will I need to spend? Luo Changfeng asked tentatively in his mind. 200 HP points. The response given by Goldfinger was very straightforward. Did it directly double the health value to 200 points? Really? Luo Changfeng smiled helplessly and shook his head. However, such consumption is considered reasonable. After all, this is the sum total of alchemy. Even if it is only a 1% understanding, for an ordinary alchemist, this is likely to be something that he has been pursuing all his life, but cannot obtain. With a 2% understanding of alchemy, it should be no problem to temporarily suppress the extreme cold in that little girl's body. But if we want to completely solve the physical problem of that little guy Luo Yue, I'm afraid it will be a bit troublesome. Thinking of this, Luo Changfeng stood up directly, walking towards the direction where a special furnace is placed in the courtyard. The furnace tripod was a second-hand item that Luoan spent a full 50,000 taels of gold to buy some time ago. Moreover, it is said that the guy from Luoan took advantage of this. The people selling the furnace cauldrons were in urgent need of money, which led to this phenomenon. Otherwise, even 80,000 or 100,000 taels of gold may not be able to buy a furnace. Of course, there is a premise here, that is the cauldron that can be used to make alchemy. If it were just an ordinary furnace, it wouldn't be so expensive. Just give it a try. With the blessing of the 2% understanding of alchemy, there shouldn't be any big problem. Luo family land. In the courtyard where the ancestors of the Luo family lived, Luo Changfeng was refining an elixir called Red Flame Pill with great concentration. As for the grade of the elixir, it depends on the age of the herb and the ability of the person who made the elixir. It is located in the room where the head of the Luo family handles various government affairs and trivial matters. Luo Ping, Luoan, Luo Yong, and Luo Chuan. At this time, they are discussing how to deal with the Black Wind Village's strategy. However, it was not so much Luo Ping, Luoan, Luo Yong, and Luo Chuan who was discussing this matter. Rather, it was Luo Chuan who was telling his inner plan. Luo Ping, Luoan, and Luo Yong were silently listening to the plan proposed by Luo Chuan. Chapter 53 Blood Replenishing Pill, Restore Qi and Blood. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I want to take action against the Black Wind stronghold and even completely annihilate it. There is only one chance. If our Qingshe Town Luo family cannot seize the only opportunity, it will be a little difficult to completely wipe out the Black Wind stronghold later. In the room, Luo Chuan whispered with a calm expression. According to what you said, how can our Luo family seize the only opportunity? Next to Luo Chuan, Luoan looked a little thin and looked extremely shrewd. At this time, he suddenly asked. One word, wait. Wait? After hearing what Luo Chuan said, Luo Yong, Luoan, and Luo Ping couldn't help but frown slightly. Some of them did not understand, this so-called waiting, what exactly does it mean? Luo Chuan just smiled at this, and then gave his own explanation. In the current situation, the enemy is in darkness and we are in the dark. If our Luo family wants to take action against the Black Wind stronghold, we may even completely annihilate it. The best way is to lure the snake out of its hole. And the prerequisite for luring the snake out of its hole is to wait patiently. In the room, after Luo Chuan's words came out, Luo Ping, Luoan and Luo Yong, he couldn't help but nodded silently. Such an explanation is indeed much easier to understand. That little guy from Luo Chuan was right, he wanted to take action against the Black Wind stronghold, and even completely annihilate it and uproot it, lure the snake out of its hole. This is indeed the best way now. If you want to lure the snake out of its hole and wait patiently, this is also a necessary prerequisite, but how to operate in specific details? Whether it is Luo Ping, Luoan, or Luo Yong, none of the three people had any vague ideas in their minds. In desperation, this matter can only be left to the little guy Luo Chuan to handle. After all, if you really want to lure the snake out of its hole perfectly, among their Luo family, it seems that apart from the extremely mysterious Changfeng patriarch, the only one left is the extremely outstanding little guy Luo Chuan. As for Luo Ping, the current head of the Luo family, if you ask him to handle some of the government affairs in Qingshe Town and the trivial affairs within the family, it won't be a big problem, but you let him handle this kind of thing? Then forget it, I can't do it. The next day, early in the morning, when the sky is not completely bright yet, there is still a slight smell of earth in the air. Qingshe Town, the land of the Luo family, in the courtyard where the ancestors of the Luo family lived, Luo Changfeng, the ancestor of the Luo family, was standing slightly nervously in front of a second-hand furnace cauldron about 1.5 meters high. This is already the third potion of elixir he has refined. The first furnace of elixir was too unskilled, which caused the furnace to explode before the elixir was even halfway through the refining process. Of course, the term fried furnace describes the instability of various properties of herbs that prevent them from blending with each other, causing them to burst suddenly. What I'm talking about here is not that the furnace cauldron exploded directly. He refined the second batch of elixir to the end, but when it was about to become the elixir, he had slight emotional fluctuations and ups and downs. This resulted in failure at the last moment. The refining of the red flame pill also ushered in its second failure. This time, it was Luo Changfeng's third time refining the red flame pill. Next, he only needs to stabilize his emotions and follow the step by step to complete the pill. Call. Suck. Call. Suck. Luo Changfeng's breathing and the strong heartbeat sounded continuously in this extremely quiet courtyard. And then there was a subtle roar from the second-hand furnace. Luo Changfeng's calm and unchanging face finally showed a faint smile. The elixir is ready. Stepping forward, Luo Changfeng stretched out his right hand and opened the lid above the furnace. As soon as the lid was opened, there was a burst of hot breath. Such a situation forced him to narrow his eyes slightly, and he kept a certain distance from the furnace. It wasn't until the hot and scalding breath had almost dissipated that he walked up again and looked into the second-hand furnace cauldron. Sure enough, at the bottom of the cauldron, there were 3 pills about the size of a thumb, dark in color. The red flame pill, exuding bursts of hot aura, appeared before Luo Changfeng's eyes. The elixir is of the highest grade, mortal. I really didn't expect that the elixir I successfully refined for the first time would reach the rank of the best among ordinary people. If this is the case, doesn't it mean that as long as all kinds of precious herbs are in place, even low-grade yellow-level medicines that are above the top-grade ordinary ones are not impossible? Of course, this is just Luo Changfeng's own personal reverie. Even if we don't talk about the issue of herbal medicine, it is just a low-grade yellow-level elixir that is above the top-grade mundane. When refining it, you need to inject some spiritual power from the alchemist's body. It was completely blocked, and Luo Changfeng wanted to refine an elixir that was higher than the ordinary top-grade pills in a short time, but even so, the world's best first-class elixirs are quite sufficient for Luo Changfeng and the Luo family. You know, in this Gale dynasty, even if the elixirs are inferior to the ordinary ones, they will be snapped up by countless family forces as soon as they appear. By the way, if I remember correctly, is there an elixir called a blood-enhancing elixir among the basic elixirs? This thing seems to be a great tonic and can restore the qi and blood in the human body in a very short period of time. If you refine this blood replenishing pill, then let the tribesmen take it. Then the qi and blood value that can be naturally restored every day will be increased from 50 points to 70 points, 80 points, or directly doubled to 100 points. The more he thought about it like this, the more excited Luo Changfeng became. Of course, elixirs are broad and profound, in addition to the special elixir red flame pill that can suppress extreme cold, and the blood replenishing pill that can replenish qi and blood. There are also many kinds of special elixirs. These special elixirs still need to be refined one by Luo Changfeng himself. As time flows, in a blink of an eye, it was late at night. At this time, the city gate of Qingshi town has been completely closed. The number of pedestrians on the street has gradually become less and less as time goes by. The number of refugees is still quite large. It seems to be particularly peaceful inside and outside Qingshi town today. Qingshi town, the land of the Luo family. At the main entrance, Luo Chuan, the current young master of the Luo family, was standing silently at the door that had not yet been closed, silently looking into the distance. Today, the number of troops controlled by the Luo family is increasing day by day. The public security in Qingshi town is gradually getting better and better, which is reasonable. Beside Luo Chuan, the old housekeeper Luo Dong hunched his body slightly, with a rather kind smile on his face. "Grandpa Dong, that's not what I'm talking about." Luo Chuan shook his head, and then said, "I'm talking about the Black Wind village outside Qingshi town." Luo Chuan's words slowly echoed around, but this time, the old butler Luo Dong did not choose to say anything more. He just narrowed his eyes slightly, just standing silently behind the young master Luo Chuan. Chapter 54: The Effect of Red Flame Pill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Luo Changfeng left his yard, after walking towards the yard where the little girl Luo Yue was, he could vaguely hear it, the waves of humming sounds that could not be suppressed. Has it already reached this level before the moon is full? Luo Changfeng shook his head helplessly. Then, he quickened his pace, walking towards a certain courtyard, in the land of the Luo family, outside a room exuding gusts of extreme cold. At this time, many servants were standing tremblingly with fearful expressions on their faces. Luo Changfeng glanced at the servants, then he pushed open the closed wooden door directly. Walk slowly towards the room. The servants of the Luo family saw that the person who suddenly appeared was the most mysterious ancestor of the Luo family. Therefore, no one dared to move to block Luo Changfeng from this room. Entering the room, the closer Luo Changfeng got, the stronger the chill that seemed to penetrate the bones became, until he walked to the bedside where the little girl Luo Yue was lying. The biting extreme cold also climbed to its peak. Feeling bad, Luo Changfeng looked at Luo Yue, whose eyes were closed tightly and his face was extremely pale. He was silent for a moment, and then suddenly asked, "Ancestor Changfeng?" Hearing the voice of the person next to him, Luo Yue, who had his eyes closed tightly, opened his eyes with some difficulty. A hint of surprise gradually appeared in her crystal-clear eyes. She seemed a little surprised that Ancestor Changfeng would come to her, a little uncomfortable, but okay. Luo Yue hesitated for a moment. She smiled awkwardly at Luo Changfeng, and then gave this answer. And as Luo Yue finished speaking, the atmosphere in the room once again fell into endless silence. Although Luo Yue's face was a little pale, but the expression on his face was full of joy and happiness. She seemed extremely happy that Ancestor Changfeng could come and see her. Luo Changfeng also felt a little hesitant at this time. He hesitated. Should he let this little girl try the red flame pill? Although the red flame pill contains extremely hot properties, and the description of the elixir also said that under normal circumstances, it can suppress many symptoms of extreme cold. For example, take a red flame pill. Even ordinary people will not feel any cold in the ice and snow even if they don't wear any clothes, but now, the biggest problem is, does this little girl's special physique fall into the normal category? At this time, Luo Changfeng was a little afraid to gamble. Ancestor Changfeng. In the extremely silent room, Luo You's slightly childish voice suddenly sounded. Ancestor Changfeng, are you? Is there something you want to tell Yue? Luo Yu smiled slightly, and his eyes took on the shape of a crescent moon. Want to try? Luo Changfeng asked. What to try? Luo Yue asked with some confusion. Red flame pill, a pill that has extremely hot properties and can easily suppress extreme cold properties under normal circumstances. Luo Changfeng took out a porcelain bottle as he spoke. From the porcelain bottle, I poured out a piece the size of a thumb, dark in color. Vaguely, the elixir still exudes bursts of hot aura. Red flame pill. Luo Yue looked at the pill in front of her. Without much thought, she directly took the pill from Luo Changfeng's hand, put it in her mouth, and swallowed it. Ancestor Changfeng, I believe in you. Besides, even if the situation is bad, how bad can it be? Just after taking the elixir, Luo Yue didn't feel anything special. However, after just 1 or 2 cups of tea, she could clearly feel that her belly was a little warm. It was as if there was a small stove in her belly. It constantly exudes that extremely warm temperature, so comfortable. Soon, Luo You's complexion gradually turned rosy. The extreme coldness in her body seemed to have been temporarily weakened by more than half under the extreme heat suppression of the red flame pill. It works, and is it good? Luo Changfeng looked at Luo Yue in front of him, then, he took out the porcelain bottle just now, put it next to the little girl, chatted with him for a while. Luo Changfeng left the room silently. After a while, Luo Changfeng returned to his courtyard. At this time, he began to recall the appearance of the little girl Luo Yue after taking the red flame pill. It works, and the effect is pretty good, but I just don't know. How many days can this red flame pill last? Also, I don't know if it really comes to a full moon night. Will this red flame pill still be able to suppress the extreme cold in that little girl Luo You's body? All of this is still unknown. Even in the art of alchemy, Luo Changfeng has a 2% understanding, or could he give precise answers to these questions? The problem with that little girl Luo Yue has been solved for the time being. Next, it's time to study the refining method of this blood tonifying pill. The various herbs required for the blood replenishing pill are quite sufficient. These are the steps and techniques for refining blood replenishing pills. I'm still a little unsure. Luo Changfeng lowered his head slightly, thinking as he silently walked in the direction of the second-hand furnace cauldron. In a blink of an eye, time came to the next day. Qingshe Town, the land of the Luo family. In the courtyard where Luo Changfeng was, as the ancestor of the Luo family, he was sitting quietly under a stone pavilion, silently counting the white porcelain bottles containing blood replenishing pills placed on the stone table. The white porcelain bottle is not very big. About half the size of a palm. Each white porcelain bottle contains 10 blood-enhancing pills. The grades of blood replenishing pills range from low grade to top grade. The 2 grades of blood replenishing pills, the low grade mundane and the top grade mundane, are the rarest. The ordinary middle grade and the ordinary high grade have the most grades. As for why this is the case, in fact, it's not that Luo Changfeng doesn't have the ability to refine blood replenishing pills that are all of the highest quality. The main thing is that the medicinal properties of this herb vary from year to year. Being able to refine all the elixirs into a mortal level above the ordinary level is worthy of the 2 percentage points added to him by the system. Next, it's time to try out the effect of this blood replenishing pill. While Luo Changfeng was thinking, he picked up a porcelain bottle on the table and walked towards the room where Luo Ping handled government affairs. There is so much of this stuff that it would be troublesome to take it away. There are storage rings and storage bags on this continent, but these gadgets are basically things owned by those immortals who have transcended the mortal world. Luo Changfeng, a monk at the early stage of Zong refining, was not worthy of owning these high-end items. Chapter 55. The blood pumping has been a bit too harsh recently. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qingshe Town, the land of the Luo family. In the room where the head of the Luo family is, Luo Ping, the current head of the Luo family, was sitting quietly on the throne. His expression was slightly tired. and the circles under his eyes were slightly dark. Silently lowering his head, he dealt with the piles of family affairs on the table and the various government affairs in Qingshi Town. I don't know what happened recently. During this time, he always felt a little weak and his energy and blood were slightly empty. This feeling is as if all the energy in the body has been sucked dry. Is it true that I have been too tired in dealing with the government affairs in Qingshi Town these days? Luo Ping thought silently in his heart. However, after a moment, he shook his head to himself. Although dealing with these things every day is really tiring, but there is nothing we can do. Who made him the current head of the Luo family? Maybe he was born to be a hard worker. In the room, Luo Ping was still dealing with government affairs with his head down. At this moment, Luo Changfeng had his hands behind his back. He walked into this room expressionlessly. Ancestor Changfeng. Upon noticing those subtle footsteps, Luo Ping suddenly raised his head, but what he didn't expect was, the person in front of him turned out to be his ancestor. Handling government affairs. Luo Changfeng looked at the pile of Lao Gao's government affairs stacked on Luo Ping's wooden table. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch slightly. This guy Luo Ping has no dodgy. Many times, it looks quite mediocre. This guy seems to be a bit useless except for giving birth to an excellent son. But now it seems, this kid Luo Ping is still somewhat useful. At least, this large group of families or the government affairs in Qingshi Town are not something ordinary people can solve. Yes. Luo Ping nodded silently, and then he stood up somewhat cautiously. After reaching Luo Changfeng's side, he dared to continue speaking. I don't know why, but I always feel a little tired mentally and physically weak recently. Just yesterday, I asked a doctor from the tribe to look at me specifically. The doctor said that I was just too tired recently. I just need to rest more. Is that so? Luo Changfeng nodded silently while listening. Even, in the next moment, he also turned his head and glanced at Luo Ping, who had deep dark circles under his eyes and a look of exhaustion on his face. He couldn't help but murmur in his heart, it seems that I have been pumping blood and energy a little too harshly these days. As the two stopped talking, the atmosphere in the room gradually became a little awkward. Luo Changfeng suddenly took out a white porcelain bottle from his sleeve. Would you like to try this? Luo Ping asked. Ancestor Changfeng, what is this? The Blood Replenishing Pill can replenish the energy and blood in the body in a very short period of time. Blood Replenishing Pill. Hearing what Ancestor Changfeng said, Luo Ping couldn't help but widen his eyes. He looked at the white porcelain bottle in Luo Changfeng's hand. I couldn't help but be a little dumbfounded. Herbal medicine, basically any family with some strength will not be short of it. Even for some herbs that are older and have stronger medicinal properties, there are still some. However, this elixir thing. Whether it is for the Luo family in Qingshi Town or the top families in Huaishui County, pills are extremely precious and rare spiritual resources. Even if it is the lowest grade elixir that is not at the first level, once it appears in the world, it will always be snapped up by countless family forces like crazy. Is this for me? Luo Ping swallowed and carefully took the white jade porcelain vase from his ancestor's hand. Then, turn it on. He put it in front of him and smelled it. In an instant, a strong scent of elixir came to him, and Luo Ping just smelled it, and he could clearly feel that his mental state seemed to have recovered a lot. The qi and blood in the body also gradually began to flow faster at this moment. Is this the blood replenishing pill? Just smelling it can have such an obvious effect. This elixir is at least not high grade, right? Luo Changfeng shook his head and said in a low voice, no, it's not that it's not the first level. Could it be that it's a top-notch elixir? Luo Ping was a little excited, and even his breathing accelerated. It's not that it's not a top-notch level 1, but it's a top-level ordinary level 1, Luo Changfeng said in a low voice. What? The best of ordinary things? Luo Ping's eyes widened and his pupils shrank suddenly. He looked at the white porcelain bottle in his hand. For a moment, even the act of breathing was somewhat forgotten. This is a first-level elixir that is of the highest quality in the world. If we look at the lowest market price, it would cost at least 1,000 taels of gold to buy a top-grade elixir. Moreover, this is calculated based on the lowest market price. If calculated based on the normal market price, it is not impossible for the price to increase 3 to 5 times, or even 10 times, but now, he actually held a white porcelain bottle containing 10 pills in his hand. In other words, operated as it is, the bottle of top-grade mortal elixir in his hand can be sold for at least 2 to 300,000 taels of gold. Ancestor Xuanhuan, give such a precious and rare elixir to me directly. If you take it out and put it to good use, it can be sold for at least 2 to 300,000 taels of gold. It's a pity to just use it up like this. Luo Ping looked at the white porcelain bottle in his hand, his expression seemed a little complicated. It's not a pity. As long as you have enough herbs, you can have as many blood tonifying pills as you want. There are also 9 bottles of blood replenishing pills in my yard, ranging from low grade to top grade. When the time comes, you go to my place and take it away. After that, dissolve those blood-enhancing pills in the water and let the tribesmen take them. If a family wants to develop and grow, it's not enough to just rely on some high-end combat capabilities. It's time to improve the combat power of the middle and low-end tribesmen. Luo Xuanhuan clasped his hands behind his back and spoke calmly. After a while, Luo Xuanhuan left the room. At this time, only Luo Ping was left in the room, holding a white porcelain bottle in his hand. At this time, Luo Ping was still a little silent and had not recovered from what Ancestor Xuanhuan had just said. If we go by what Patriarch Xuanhuan said, it seems that these elixirs were all refined by Xuanhuan Patriarch alone. When did Patriarch Xuanhuan learn such a profound art of alchemy? Did you learn it from that old guy Wang Kuan? But the bottle in my hand is a first-class mortal elixir. If that old guy Wang Kuan can really refine elixirs of this level, why is he just one of the countless branches of the Wandan sect? Named disciple. This is a bit unreasonable. Luo Ping lowered his head slightly, thinking this in his heart, but the more he thought about it, the more headache he felt. Chapter 56 Gold Fingers daily increase in chi and blood has doubled. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In addition to the elixir matter, another thing that Patriarch Xuanhuan ordered was much easier to understand. From now on, female members of the clan cannot marry outside the family, and only men can marry into the Luo family. Children born will also have Luo as their surname. After all, the Luo family has now become the strongest family force in Qingshi town. It is not a bad thing for the man to marry into the Luo family. There are also many powerful family forces in the Gale dynasty, and they all do this in order to quickly grow the family. Do you really want to take this blood replenishing pill directly? This is all money. In the room, Luo Ping looked at the white porcelain bottle in his hand. He couldn't help but hesitate in his heart. However, after hesitating for a long time, after all, he couldn't resist the temptation to take the elixir. Carefully, he poured out a pill that was about the size of a thumb, dark in color, and exuding a medicinal fragrance. Then, Luo Ping put it into his mouth. He held it under his tongue. He didn't swallow it directly. This is not because he is reluctant to part with it, but because pills are something that cannot be taken indiscriminately, especially this kind of precious elixir that is the best in the world. If it were accidentally eaten by an ordinary person, it would be possible for his body to explode. However, what Luo Ping didn't expect was something. As soon as the blood tonifying elixir entered his mouth, it turned directly into bursts of medicinal liquid and flowed down his throat into his lower abdomen. Hot, so hot. After the medicinal liquid enters the lower abdomen, the medicinal effect begins to take effect rapidly. A steady stream of extremely powerful energy and blood, it was flowing crazily in Luo Ping's body. In just an instant, Luo Ping's face became extremely rosy. Waves of high temperature gradually filled his body. The blood vessels all over his body also bulged. The speed of blood flow is constantly accelerating. Inexperience. This time Luo Ping is really a little inexperienced. I have always heard that elixirs melt in your mouth. However, he just thought it was a joke. The elixir is dark. How can you say that it melts in your mouth? However, what Luo Ping didn't expect was that the saying that it melts in your mouth was so damn true. If he had known this in advance, it would have been impossible for him to eat an entire blood tonifying pill of the highest quality in one go. Even if it is broken into half or 1/3, it will still be better than now. As time flows, it was evening in a blink of an eye. At this time, the sun was setting. The afterglow of the setting sun shines on this land. Under the support of the setting sun, the scenery in various places becomes more and more beautiful. However, as the sun gradually sets, the severe cold of winter gradually descended on this land again bit by bit. Qingshi town, above the streets. People with families in this town rushed towards their homes in a hurry. people who have no home can only sleep in the rather crude tent set up by the Luo family, although the temperature inside the tent is still a bit cold, but this is at least countless times better than staying directly outside the tent. Luo family land, in the room where the head of the Luo family is. At this time, Luo Ping was not sitting quietly on the armchair as usual. He diligently handles various affairs within the family in Qingshi town. At this time, he was still in the same situation as before when he took a top-grade mortal blood-enhancing pill, sitting cross-legged on the ground casually. His face was slightly red, and his whole body was radiating a scorching heat. Under the skin, there are some ferocious bulges in the blood vessels, directly exposed to the air. Until about half an hour passed, Luo Ping finally opened his eyes and slowly exhaled a turbid breath. After taking this blood-replenishing pill, his cultivation, which had been stuck for nearly 10 years, finally broke through in one fell swoop, directly from the middle stage of bone refining to the late stage of bone refining. This time, although the harvest was quite fruitful, but it's not without any dangers. Several times during this period, he almost couldn't hold on, causing the qi and blood in his body to flow backwards. By then, even if you don't die, his cultivation level will directly drop from the realm of bone refining to the realm of skin refining. It is not impossible that he will lose all his cultivation level. Fortunately, everything is moving in a better direction. Luo Ping stood up silently and glanced at a white porcelain bottle placed on the ground. There was still a little fear in his eyes. What Ancestor Changfeng said is indeed correct. This blood-replenishing pill really needs to be diluted in water so that it can be absorbed better. Otherwise, not everyone can bear that powerful force of energy and blood. In the blink of an eye, another day passed. In the early morning, when the sky is not completely bright yet, Luo Ping had already visited his ancestor's courtyard. He took away the 9 bottles of blood-replenishing pills placed on the stone table, ranging from low-grade to top-grade, and after Luo Ping took away those blood-replenishing pills, he also placed a huge wooden barrel directly in the canteen shared by the family, and in the barrel was placed spring water melted with blood-tonifying pills. Of course, after completing what Ancestor Changfeng ordered, Luo Ping also promoted it a little to people in the clan. At first, not many people paid attention, although the blood-tonifying pill is extremely precious. But what effect can blood-tonifying pills diluted with large amounts of spring water have? The effect is probably not as good as chewing the herbs directly, right? However, as the people of the Luo family gradually tried the effect of the spring water that melted the blood-replenishing pill, those people are a little crazy, waiting in the canteen shared by the clan on time every day. Where is the diluted blood-tonifying pill? That thing is simply a free super invincible tonic, right? It's free prostitution and the effect is awesome. Who doesn't love it? In the blink of an eye, another day passed. Qingshi town, the land of the Luo family, in the courtyard where the ancestors of the Luo family lived, Luo Changfeng was sitting quietly under a stone pavilion, looking at the golden finger template suspended in mid-air in front of him. His calm and unchanging face couldn't help but reveal a slight smile. Did it double directly? After the tribesmen took this diluted blood-replenishing pill, the qi and blood value that can be naturally restored every day increased from 50 points to 100 points. If we keep adding points at this rate, doesn't it mean that my cultivation level will continue to improve in just a few days? In less than 3 to 5 months, my cultivation will be able to skyrocket to the level of blood refining, which is above that of zong refining. Thinking of this, Luo Changfeng couldn't help but feel happy in his heart. If the zong refining realm is invincible in Qingshi town, it can also be regarded as the top combat power in Huaishui County, so, the realm of blood training above the internal organs refining. Even in Luoshan Mansion, which has 8 counties above Huaishui County, it can be regarded as one of the most powerful practitioners. Chapter 57, If you beat the snake, you won't die, but you will be harmed by it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next period of time, as the ancestor of the Luo family, Luo Changfeng, in addition to refining elixirs in the yard, also continued to take drugs to improve his cultivation as much as possible. After this period of practice, you can know his cultivation talent is not very good, let alone Luo Yong, or Luo Yong's outstanding son Luo Qingshan. He even felt that even Luo Ping, who was the current head of the Luo family, their talents are slightly better than his, if it weren't for that guy Luo Ping becoming the head of the Luo family, his cultivation time would be delayed by various trivial matters in the family. That guy, no matter what, must be at least in the late stage of bone refining. Oh, right, it seems that before Luo Ping took a top-grade blood tonifying pill, his cultivation has already reached the advanced stage of bone refining. However, although Luo Changfeng's cultivation talent is poor. But no matter how bad you are, as long as you work hard and practice hard, you will always gain something. At least it's better than nothing. As time flows, in the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. During these 3 days, Qingshi town gradually returned to the calm before the troubled times, although there are still countless refugees pouring towards Qingshi town every day, but this is not the case for the Luo family who controls Qingshi town. Not entirely a bad thing. The influx of a huge number of refugees has indeed brought a huge burden to Qingshi town. But along with the burden comes a larger labor force. In troubled times, human life is often worth less than grass, but the same, in this troubled times, a huge population base is the basis for one party's struggle for hegemony. Not to mention anything else, it is just the expansion of Bluestone town, the mining of bluestone veins, and the rebuilding of the city wall. Many times it is necessary to rely on these seemingly useless refugees to complete tasks that require a huge labor force. Qingshi town, the land of the Luo family, in the room where the head of the Luo family is, at this time, Luo Ping and his son Luo Chuan were sitting silently, drinking tea beside them quite calmly. Father, did you find out? In recent days, things have been too peaceful inside and outside Qingshi town. In fact, the calmness is a bit unusual. After drinking the hot tea in his hand, he let the hot tea warm his stomach. Luo Chuan then turned his head slightly, looked at his father Luo Ping beside him and whispered, "Wouldn't it be nice to be calmer?" While Luo Ping drank the hot tea in his hand, he turned his head in surprise and looked at the extremely outstanding son beside him. It's not that calmness is bad. Luo Chuan shook his head. He looked out of the room with a slightly complicated expression, and whispered to his father beside him, "I just think that the calm outside Qingshi town recently has been a little too abnormal. Even sometimes I subconsciously forget the existence of Black Wind Village." Forgetting the existence of Black Wind Village is not a good sign, father. As Luo Chuan's voice gradually disappeared into the void, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became a little tense. If Luo Chuan hadn't suddenly mentioned this, Luo Ping would have forgotten the existence of Black Wind Village. "Chuaner, what do you think? What should our Luo family do next?" Luo Chuan said calmly, "I just have to wait for you." Still just waiting silently, Luo Ping frowned slightly. The feeling of being stared at by outsiders really made him feel uncomfortable. "Father, don't worry too much. I think Black Wind Village will take action in the next few days." "Really?" Luo Ping turned his head suddenly. "It will probably be within these 7 days. Then, which aspect of our Luo family's industry do you think Black Wind Village will take action on? Is it the remaining 1/3 of the bluestone veins that are still being mined?" Luo Ping asked in a low voice. Luo Chuan nodded silently. "Heifeng village knows that the bluestone veins are very important to my Luo family. So, in the next few days, they will definitely take action on the remaining 1/3 of the bluestone veins that are still being mined. Then our Luo family should send more manpower to protect the origin of those bluestone veins?" Luo Ping asked. "It is definitely necessary to send additional manpower for protection, but it must be controlled to a certain extent." "What do you mean?" Luo Ping became more and more confused. He frowned and looked at his son Luo Chuan, who looked calm and unchanging beside him, as if everything was under control. He felt more and more that he couldn't figure out what this kid was thinking. There is someone behind Black Wind Village. If our Luo family wants to lure the snake out of its hole, we can lure out those people from Black Wind Village. Some necessary sacrifices in the early stage are inevitable." When Luo Ping heard this, he nodded silently, and his frown slowly relaxed. "So, Chuan'er means that the remaining bluestone veins are ours. What necessary sacrifices did the Luo family make in order to lure out the group of people from Black Wind Village? Moreover, even our Luo family knew in advance that Heifeng village would take action on the remaining bluestone veins. We can't send too many men and cause too many casualties to the Black Wind Village." "Yes. Luo Chuan nodded silently, and then picked up a cup of hot tea next to him. After blowing it gently and taking a sip, he whispered, "Father, our Luo family only has one chance. If our Luo family cannot completely kill the Black Wind stronghold at once and uproot it. In the future, if we want to destroy the Black Wind stronghold, the difficulty will probably become even higher. If you don't kill the snake, you will suffer from it instead." In the room, after the chat between Luo Chuan and Luo Ping ended, an order from within the Luo family, it was quickly conveyed to Luo Yong. What? That guy Luo Ping knew that the people from Black Wind Village were going to attack the Bluestone mine controlled by my Luo family, but he asked me not to send a large number of people to protect him. Is this guy Luo Ping out of his mind, or was this letter forged by someone? Outside Qingsha town, there is a military camp with about 20,000 young people, inside a coach's tent that looks the most massive. As the leader of an army of 20,000 men, Luo Yong could not help but frown as he looked at the letter in his hand. His face and eyes were full of confusion. If it weren't for the handwriting on the letter, he would be quite familiar with it, if the person who sent the message was not the elite servants he left behind in the Luo family's land. He would really question whether this letter was true or false. "Qing Shan, please read this letter. Explain to me what that guy Luo Ping means." In the tent, Luo Yong handed the letter in his hand to his son Luo Qing Shan next to him with a somewhat angry expression. Luo Qing Shan took the letter, read it, and then whispered, "Father, the head of the family said at the end of the letter that this plan was proposed by the second brother." "What? This plan was proposed by my nephew Luo Chuan?" Luo Yong took the letter from Luo Qingshan's hand again and looked directly at the back of the letter, until Luo Yong confirmed that this plan was indeed proposed by that kid from Luo Chuan. He smiled and said, that's okay, that's okay." Chapter 58. It's sunny. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I started to have a fever yesterday morning, 8. I thought it was nothing more than Omicron, but I didn't expect that my body temperature soared to 40 at night. I tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. My whole body seemed to be cooked. I took medicine and got better, but within a few hours, my body temperature returned to 40. When I woke up in the morning, my clothes were all covered in sweat. Now I was lying on the bed, twisting and turning, my head was dizzy, my whole body ached, and I really couldn't write. Chapter 59. Killing two birds with one stone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soon, another 3 days passed. During these 3 days, Qingsha town, and the Luo family, it is still running at high speed and precision. Although the military expansion in Luoyong has stopped, some projects that need to be completed still require a large amount of labor. Therefore, these refugees poured into Qingsha town. The situation is actually much better than that of refugees in other places. Although they have no house to live in, and no gorgeous and brand new clothes to wear. Moreover, there is not much salary to be collected, but at least they can have a full meal and a mouthful of warm broth to drink. This is for the refugees who have no clothes to cover and no food to eat. This is already a pretty good life. In Qingsha town, the Luo family's manpower to guard the bluestone veins is gradually increasing bit by bit. Outside Qingsha town, there is a hidden and unknown deep mountain. A huge mountain stronghold stands here, in the village, inside the Ji Hall. The black-haired tiger Xiongqi is the current leader of Haifeng village. At this time, he was sitting on the main seat with some anxiety, and from time to time he would look towards the scholar Chu Yan who was sitting quietly on the armchair next to him. "Sir, it has been some time since the last time we took action against the Qingsha Luo family. Now with the passage of time, the strength of the Luo family in Qingsha town is constantly improving. If we don't take action against the Luo family, I'm afraid it won't take long before the location of our cottage will be completely discovered by the Luo family. At that time, our Haifeng village will be like a mantis blocking a car in front of the Naluo family. We will surely die." After hesitating for a long time, Xiongqi finally couldn't hold it back any longer. Chu Yan said these words to the scholar. "Master of the village, it is the Luo family that needs to worry now, not our Black Wind village." Chu Yan smiled slightly and slowly waved the pure white goose feather fan in his hand that came from nowhere. While fanning himself, he said calmly. "But now chaos is spreading in the Gale dynasty, and a huge number of refugees are pouring into the Bluestone town every day. During this period of time, the Luo family in Qingshi town has been vigorously expanding the city and building a new thick and high city wall. If we continue to stay in the village leisurely like this, we will be destroyed by the Luo family sooner or later. Sir, you have said before that the number of forces like our Black Wind village in the prince's hands is definitely no less than 2 palms. If we were near Qingshi town, we in Black Wind village wouldn't be able to do anything eye-catching. How can you and I get into the eyes of the prince? Xiongqi suddenly stood up, walked to the scholar Chu Yan, and spoke with a somewhat eager expression, and after Xiongqi finished speaking, Chu Yan, a handsome scholar in white clothes and holding a goose feather fan, stood up silently, looking at Xiongqi, who was as strong as an iron tower and capable of bringing great intimidation to others. Chu Yan smiled and said, "Okay. In that case, let's make preparations next to attack the Luo family. The industry under my command once again launches an attack." Sir, which aspect of the Luo family's industry in Qingshi town should we attack first in Heifeng village? Is it the source of the remaining 1/3 of the bluestone veins? No. Chu Yan shook his head slightly and said calmly, although the bluestone veins are extremely important to the Luo family, over the years, the amount of bluestone stored in the Luo family and the already destroyed Zhao family must have reached an extremely huge value. Even if we take action now on the only remaining bluestone vein origin in the hands of the Luo family, although the profit will be there, it will not be the highest. Xiongqi frowned and couldn't help asking in a low voice, then which industry under the Luo family should our Black Wind village take action to maximize our profits? Farm. Farm? As the answer was told by Chu Yan, the look in Xiongqi's eyes couldn't help but become more and more excited. In troubled times, compared to useless gold and silver, food is indeed the most important. If that's the case, then I'll have people prepare. Tomorrow morning, when the sky is not completely bright yet, I will launch an attack on the land owned by the Luo family. Captain, don't worry, Chu Yan said, stopping the black-haired tiger Xiongqi who wanted to leave the hall. Sir, what do you mean? Xiongqi looked at Chu Yan in front of him and couldn't help asking. The Luo family's fields must be moved, and so must the still-functioning bluestone veins. Since we have chosen to take action, why not take care of the bluestone veins that are still running? In addition, the village leader cannot easily put himself in danger. If you are not careful, the leader of the village will be ambushed by people from the Luo family. This huge Black Wind stronghold is probably going to collapse. Scholar Xuyan's words gradually echoed in this hall, and the black-haired tiger Xiongqi who was stopped, after frowning and thinking for a moment, he couldn't help but nodded silently. What Chu Yan said is indeed correct, the bandits in Heifeng stronghold can die at will. Since there are countless refugees in troubled times, if you want to expand the power of the cottage, just capture some refugees. But if he falls into the hands of the Luo family, this huge Black Wind village may really disappear from this world. After Xiongqi and Chu Yan thoroughly discussed their next itinerary, Xiongqi took 3,000 armored young men with him and quickly rushed towards the origin of the bluestone veins in the hands of the Luo family, as well as the locations of the fields outside Qingshi town. As for where these armors come from, naturally, it was funded by the mysterious prince. The number of armors funded by the prince totaled 5,000 pairs. Among them, he brought out 3,000 young men in armor, and the remaining 2,000 stayed in the stronghold to look after the family. He didn't want to lose the home of Heifeng village because of his negligence. What happened next was basically what Chu Yan had imagined. Regardless of where the bluestone veins originate, still near those fields, the armored young men of Black Wind village encountered some resistance. However, the resistance of the Luo family was not particularly strong. With just a slight touch, the Luo family was completely defeated, and the reason why this is the case, the reason is besides the Luo family's active cooperation with Heifengzai in acting, there is also the gap between the number of people and equipment between the two sides. All members of one side are wearing armor, while the other side is wearing less than half of the armor. The difference in numbers is also quite large. In such a battle, the Luo family is bound to lose. Chapter 60 The snake is coming out of its hole. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, early morning. 6. When the sky is not completely bright yet, the Luo family, located in Qingshe town, had already received news about the origin of the bluestone veins and the destruction of their fields. Xuanhuan, not only the remaining bluestone veins have been destroyed this time, but even the fields outside Qingshe town. It was also destroyed by the Black Wind stronghold. Qingshe town, the land of the Luo family. In the room where the head of the Luo family handles various trivial matters, Luo Ping sighed helplessly as he spoke. The origin of the bluestone veins was destroyed, although it had a considerable impact on the Luo family, but judging from the bluestone inventories in the Luo and Zhao families over the years, it should be no problem to expand Bluestone Town and build a new city wall. But the property outside Qingshe town was destroyed, which was really something difficult to accept for the Luo family. Even the Luo family still has extremely large food reserves, but in troubled times, who would dislike having a large food reserve? The destruction of the property is to be expected. In the room, Luo Chuan drank the cup of hot tea in his hand and whispered, however, since it is winter now, the destruction of this field is not a big loss to our Luo family. Xuanhuan, what should we do next? The necessary sacrifices have been made. If the stalemate with the Black Wind village continues, the development speed of our Luo family will inevitably be greatly restricted. What's next? Luo Chuan narrowed his eyes slightly. After pondering for a moment, he gave an answer. Next, let's organize a caravan. The origin of the bluestone veins has been destroyed, the fields have been destroyed, and our Luo family has very few assets left outside of Qingshe town. If you want to lure a snake out of its hole, you always need to give a reason that your opponent can't refuse. Luo Ping, organize a caravan. Just that? No, in addition to this, we have to publicize this matter until everyone in Black Wind village knows it clearly. Luo Ping, why is this? This time is a test for the Black Wind stronghold to see if the Black Wind stronghold will attack my Luo family's caravan. No matter whether Haifeng village will take action this time, next time. This is the best time to completely wipe out Black Wind village. Luo Chuan's voice, although not loud, however, it reached Luo Ping's ears very clearly. I don't understand. Luo Ping still doesn't understand, however, it is no longer important whether you understand or not. As the current head of the Luo family, he only needs to do what his son says, and that is enough. Okay, I get it. I will ask people to organize a caravan to other cities. Luo Ping took a deep breath, and after slowly exhaling, he whispered. Father, if this is the case, if there is nothing else, then I will retreat. After Luo Chuan finished saying this, he stood up silently, walking towards the outside of the room. In comparison, the Luo family suffered huge losses. Outside Qingshe town, inside the Black Wind village, which is located in a large mountain. Xiong Qi is the leader of Black Wind village. At this time, he was sitting on the armchair quite casually. The rugged face was covered with a wanton smile. This Qingshe Zhenluo family is not that good either. If it weren't for the ancestors of the Zong refining realm sitting in the Naluo family. Why should I hide in front of the Luo family? Haifeng village, in Zhiyi Hall, Xiong Qi said with a rather excited expression while smiling wantonly. It seemed that the Luo family's fields outside Qingshe town and the origin of the bluestone veins were destroyed in one fell swoop. This allowed him to regain his former self-confidence. It even gave him the illusion that the Qingshe Zhenluo family was mediocre. Village master, village master. Just when Xiong Qi wanted to continue to say something, outside Zhiyi Hall, the sound of hurried footsteps suddenly sounded. Why are you so panicked? Xiong Qi narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the person in front of him with a somewhat dissatisfied expression. Master, I heard that the Luo family in Qingshe town seems to be organizing a caravan today. What? Organizing a caravan? Xiong Qi suddenly became excited when he heard this. Is your news true? Master, this news is absolutely true. In Zhiyi Hall, after the little guy left, Xiong Qi looked at the scholar Chu Yan beside him with excitement, and said excitedly, Sir, what do you think about this matter? Does the village leader want to take action and deal with the Luo family's caravan on its way to other cities? As expected, I can't hide what I'm thinking from Sir. I think it would be better for the village leader not to take action this time. Xiong Qi frowned and said, Why is this? Master, why don't you think about it carefully? We just took action on the Luo family's property and bluestone veins in Qingshi town yesterday. It stands to reason that the Luo family of Qingshi town should try their best to guard against our Black Wind village. But, just today, the Luo family actually organized a caravan directly. And the news of organizing the caravan was easily learned by our Black Wind village. In this way, it has become clear what the Qingshi Zhenluo family's intentions are. Xiong Qi said, Sir, what you are saying is that this is a trap set up by the Luo family of Qingshi town to deal with our Black Wind village. The purpose is to lure us out of Black Wind village so that we can be captured in one fell swoop. Chu Yen nodded silently, waved the white goose feather fan in his hand, and whispered, That's probably it. So, under Haifeng's own imagination, this caravan left Qingshi town very smoothly. Keep moving towards the city closest to Qingshi town. After spending about 2 days and 2 nights, this caravan returned with a large amount of food. Although the Dafeng dynasty suffered from drought for several years, countless people are living in dire straits, and food production is declining rapidly every year, but Huaishui County, located on the side of Huaishui River, does not have such worries. It can still be easily done by exchanging gold and silver for food. The price of this food will be several times higher than in the past. Qingshi town, the land of the Luo family, in the room where Luo Ping is. At this time, Luo Ping and Luo Chuan, father and son, were sitting silently on an armchair, holding a cup of hot tea in his hand. He took a sip from time to time. Chuaner, that caravan returned safely. The Black Wind village did not take action during this period, which surprised me a bit. Luo Chuan, maybe Haifeng village doesn't dare to take action. Don't you dare to take action? Luo Ping thought for a while, and then asked aloud, Now that the caravan has returned safely, what should we do next? Continue to organize the caravan, but this time we will organize 2 caravans. One is in the light and the other is in the dark. Caravans in the open should bring less gold and silver. Caravans in the dark can bring as much gold and silver as they can. Luo Ping asked, Is it still the same as last time? Luo Chuan shook his head and whispered, No, this time we can ask the third uncle to lead the army and follow the caravan in secret to ambush in secret. Chuaner, you mean, the snake is coming out of its hole? Luo Chuan looked at his father beside him and said calmly, Haifeng village cannot refuse this opportunity.